I'm going to be talking a little bit about cloud computing and also software as a service. And this is not a technical presentation for IT type folks. This is a business presentation. So, human resources systems. That's the context we're talking about cloud computing and software as a service in. You might know it as an HRIS, you might know it as an HRMS, a TM, talent management system, or your HR technology may be part of a larger enterprise resource planning system, or ERP. Regardless of how it's known and what form it's taking, generally speaking, when you adopt technology, you're going to be living with it for somewhere between 7 and 10 years. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if you make the wrong decision, it can have a huge impact on your organization for a significant long period of time. So what we're going to look at today is a little bit about a definition of these two technologies, and we're going to look at some of the business reasons why people are adopting them. And I'm going to share some research with you so that you can understand why it is that these technologies are important. Okay, so the first thing then, let's just look at a definition before we go any further. So cloud computing, in its simplest terms, it's the ability to use business applications over the internet. So instead of having your business application stored on an on-premise server, it's going to be stored somewhere, as we say, in the cloud, but it means somewhere else, and the way that you access it is through the internet. That's cloud computing in a very simple nutshell. Software as a service, now that is application software that's owned and managed by a vendor, and you pay for it, you use it remotely, and you pay for it on a subscription basis, as opposed to buying licenses. So there's annual costs related to that. Okay. So, current research suggests that cloud-based software as a service is actually becoming the dominant service deployment for HR software. And there are 4 major reasons why that's so. Firstly, they reduce or eliminate the need for internal infrastructure. By that we might mean computers, network, and so on. And also reduce the need for IT support services. They're faster to deploy than a traditional on-premise system. And that means that the faster you get them deployed, the faster you get to your return, you start realizing the value, and you get to your return on investment. Thirdly, they improve the user experience, and again, that means that more people use them, you get more value as an organization, the more people are using and liking the software. And then lastly, they have lower upfront costs, and they have lower total costs of ownership. So those are the 4 reasons, and we're going to look a little bit now at the research that supports those reasons. So, I said that software as a service is becoming the dominant model. Sierra Cedar is a researcher organization that puts out an annual HR technology survey. It's the biggest one of its kind. The white paper alone is about 70 pages of research specific to HR technology. It's the industry standard for HR technology research. So this is the latest 2014 survey, and this is telling us that right now, today, which is the dark line, 46% of software is on-premise and 28% is software as a service based. In the next calendar year, that is reversing. 31% will be remaining licensed software on-premise, and a whopping 47% is going to software as a service. So there's definitely a tipping point here. It's becoming the standard model. Okay, a little bit about the period of return on investment. The Aberdeen Group is another research-based organisation that puts out reports and white papers. And this is their chart for the return on investment, and the blue section compares the software as a service, the yellow section is on-premise software. Months until return on investment, 23 for software as a service, 31 for on-premise software. And months until go live, approximately 7 months with a SaaS-based system versus 11 months if you're going on-premise. So again, there's a lot of savings in deployment time. Okay. Now, the next thing is, we also talked about reducing the need for IT infrastructure and support resources. And Forbes magazine, approximately a year ago, ran a 4-part series on software disruption. And there were 3 things that they said were disrupting services. One was software as a service, one was cloud computing, the other one happened to be mobile technology. So Forbes, in their one of their articles, stated again that one of the advantages of cloud-based options is you can scale up or down in size as required without having to invest in IT infrastructure. Okay, now for less staff. Again, more research out of the Sierra Cedar annual survey. It looks at different size organizations, but for a large organization, there can be approximately a 30% reduction in the functional application support and infrastructure services. In an 11,000 person company, that equates to 14 people for on-premise supporting versus about 9 or 10. That's a 30% reduction. Another thing that Sierra Cedar's research indicates is it's an approximately a 30% reduction in deployment time. Upgrades are also faster. So we're comparing a cloud implementation at 8 months versus 14 months for a on-premise, and an upgrade at 4 months versus 7 months. And again, you can see there's a little timeline here. And they looked at this, Sierra Cedar, this is again, looked at it large, medium, and small. There's slight variations in the timeline, but the overall pattern is the same. SaaS is much faster. And it's much faster when it comes to upgrades as well. Okay. The improved user experience. Again, collecting information from clients that have gone to a software as a service human resources system. The number one reason for doing so is to improve user experience. And that goes for employees, for managers, and for general HR. Okay, and lastly, I think the last main point then is the economics. With SaaS-based solutions, instead of having big upfront capital expenditures, your expenses go on a subscription basis, an annual basis, and they go into the operating budget. So that has an impact of lowering upfront costs, and it also lowers the total cost of ownership. And that's another one of the main reasons that companies are deciding to go with this technology. And that, again, is research out of the Aberdeen Group. Okay, so to conclude, cloud computing and software as a service, they are becoming the dominant HR technology. And it's due to those 4 reasons. Reducing the IT dependence, improving the speed of deployment and upgrades, so faster return on investment, improved user experience across the board, and then lower upfront and total costs. So these are the references. This is where I got the research information. I could have picked a lot more. There was much more confirming information from Gartner, for example, and several other research companies. But the Cedar Creststone is the industry standard for that research. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.